First, just with Eric Lauer, we're going to be watching him make his second start with the Dodgers. What did you see from that first one, though? And was there anything that you guys were diving into after seeing that one?
I think for the first one, certainly a good one. At that point in time, he hadn't pitched for about 15 days. With Eric, I think we got what we expected. Compete, you saw fastball command, the ability to use the changeup, the cutter, get the ball off the barrel, and I think that's kind of what Eric does. And you know, we got some guys here on this team over there that's pretty good versus left-handed pitching, but you know, expect him to have a good night regardless.
When you looked at the offense last night, you know, we talked about some of the opportunities that were early, but it does seem when this offense is missing the slug, it seems to be missing some key opportunities. How do you just balance that out with how your offense is looking to kind of make itself up?
Yeah, certainly this game, you know, as much as you want to, you can talk about, you know, the good at bats and things like that, moving the ball forward, but it is slug, you know, and then those guys showed it last night with some homers. But you know, when you do get opportunities, you got to be able to cash in situationally. It's hard to understand that slug is a part of the game and is a big part of it, but to try to, you know, manufacture that is hard. You got to just still swing at good pitches.
So Tommy Edman played center field down in AAA. What's the reports you're getting? How far away is he?
He's good. I still think it's going to be the full 3 weeks for Tommy. But yeah, he's going to play second, I think, tomorrow. Then he'll kick over to third, and then play a little bit of left, play some center. So I think the lion's share will be second, though.
Is it strange for you to see these guys show up after not seeing them since the spring training, guys like Knack and Bobby Miller?
It is. You know, yeah, it's unfortunate that they're not healthy, and it is fortunate that we have a lot of guys that can kind of backfill. But it is good seeing those guys. Haven't seen them all, seen some of those guys, but it's a nice kind of reprieve or break for those guys while we're in town to pop over.
You were optimistic at the beginning of camp for the outlook of Gavin Stone. Have you heard anything about what's going on with him?
I have, and he's one that I'm really bummed out about. I think his makeup is off the charts good, compete. You know, right now his body's just letting him down a little bit. You know, there's nothing else he can do. And then when he gets back and ramps it up, it sort of shows itself again. So right now I'm not sure exactly where he's at in his progression, but I'm looking forward to seeing him though.
So he's like tried to ramp up and then had to dial it back.
Yeah.
Because of the shoulder.
Yeah, this happened. I mean, I think maybe a month ago, something like that. So just such a bummer because he's working his way back now as we speak. But yeah, I miss seeing him around.
Has he just been playing catch the whole time, or has he gotten off the mound at all?
Yeah, he was off the mound you know, 4 or 5 weeks ago, and then I think he had a setback, and so now he's kind of working his way back.
This is a pretty big left field for Ryan Ward to navigate. What are you looking at as far as just how he can handle himself in this type of left field?
You know, just go out there and just do the best he can. You know, he's had a lot of repetitions in the left field, and just do what he can out there. And I'm sure we're going to be having him positioned in the right places. But made a nice play the other day on a ball coming in, and just, you know, for me, I just want him to go out there and play free and easy.
How's Diaz, Doc?
Maybe hit a homer.
How's Diaz?
He is on his second set of back-to-backs. He's at Dodger Stadium today and playing catch. So it's coming along really well. Very encouraged.
What's your prognosis?
Obviously, full recovery. Still don't know when the time of return is. I mean, it's easy probably to assume it's after the All-Star break, but I just have no idea.
We're talking to Kyle Tucker last night. He's expressed some frustration at times. Are you a little disappointed that it seems to be, you know, one step forward, 2 steps back with him? He hasn't been able to maintain those hot streaks or stay consistent?
I wouldn't say disappointed. I would say I'm probably, just hoping that there's some traction, for him and for our sake. He's working hard, and there's a day that he looks like he's back and feeling comfortable, and then a couple days in a row where you look at him and he feels like he's still searching again. So I think for me, it's just, you're just hoping that something can stick.
Have we gone far enough that it's not the accommodating himself to a new situation, new team anymore?
Yeah, I don't think that's the case. I think there is some of that for all players, the transition adjustment. But to be quite honest, once you're in the box, you're in the box. So it's not, these are stadiums that he's played in. So it's more of kind of just, trying to feel comfortable with his mechanics, but still you got to compete and go with whatever swing you got that day to help us win a baseball game. That's kind of what you have to do.
Do you still see the chase rate being the fundamental problem?
You know what, actually, I think the last few weeks, I would say it's been better. So I know that he's kind of making a conscious effort to be better with that. And now it's just kind of more of just the quality of contact, but it's nothing that, anyone that doesn't watch doesn't realize.
In his past, he doesn't usually swing at the first pitch as much as he has this year. What do you attribute that to?
That's probably more a question for him, but for me, that's anxiousness. Because he does like to and has gut run counts, but he has been more aggressive first pitch. So, that's interesting.
Thank you.
Yep.
You're next to me, and it's awesome because not only are you an LA legend in being Derek Fisher, and you are an absolute legend being Derek Fisher.
Stop it.
And you're also a very nice and humble guy. But it's also the fact that, you were a head coach, you were a GM, and the thing that I just can't get past is you were also the head of the PA. So you just have such a unique perspective when it comes to sports, especially when we get to something close to like a CBA deadline that we are getting to in Major League Baseball. And this particular CBA is going to be brutal. It's going to be brutal. How do I know that? Because it already is brutal. And there's a couple of things I do want to ask you as being the head of a PA in the past. But real quick, Dave Roberts was asked about it last night after the Dodgers lost. And here is his quote. Listen, you can make it all about us if you want. We're here to win every game we can. I imagine other teams are also. Cap or not, we will beat anybody. And I love that. And yes, I mentioned yesterday, I do believe that the Dodgers are, whether wittingly or unwittingly, being used as a Trojan horse for Major League Baseball and the owners as this pay discrepancy that the Dodgers are going for it every single year, and they're spending all this money, and we can't compete. They can, but that's what their argument is, that we can't compete. And it's very, very frustrating to certain fans, but other fans kind of, there's no other way to say it, eat it up. Absolutely eat it up. And there is something I was talking with you off air about, and it's the message of messaging. How is it possible that players' associations across the board are so bad at the messaging to getting it to fans? Because seemingly fans have a knee-jerk reaction, and I do not understand why, to side with the owners in these situations. The narrative of you're not getting a sports season because these players are greedy somehow enters the brain of your random sports fan and doesn't let go. What do you think players associations, and maybe even specifically the Major League Baseball Players Association, needs to do about their messaging?
You mean?
I know. So it's like an impossible question because, I mean, you were the head of the PA and you experienced it, right?
Yeah, I think oftentimes, players associations, unions have in-house, public relations or media relations folks that work for the union or the PA. But because the union and PAs are not for-profit entities, it's a union. Mm-hmm. So there's a responsibility financially, and there's a fiduciary responsibility to not spend your dues on wasteful things. So your PR and media relations budget can't be the biggest line item when you go back and look at the financial statements or the P&Ls. And I think PAs and unions need to consider the reality that as you approach collective bargaining agreement windows, it's crisis PR time.
Yeah.
Now, those prices are different for crisis PR and media representation. And so it goes from like consulting with outside PR firms to, actually you have to go out and win the battle of public opinion. You really do. That the pressure from the public, the fans, are oftentimes the only thing that will move the needle for ownership groups. It really is, because those are the fans that are buying the tickets, that are streaming the games, that are filling up the stadiums and the arenas. And so unless an owner feels like fans and people want a different result, oftentimes they won't move. And so that's where I think the messaging kind of battle comes in, is the PAs don't necessarily think of it as, and not necessarily not think of it, not necessarily equipped to win that battle over 6, 7, 8 months, because it starts, it starts 12 to 18 months before you actually get to the CBA expiring.
Oh yeah, we got to all the way till December 1st for this one.
And so you're in crisis PR mode that entire time. That could cost you millions of dollars for a major pro sports league and major pro sports, players association. And so you just have to be willing to explain that to your players, that it's worth the investment. Because if you're losing that battle, you're done.
Yeah.
To be honest.
You know what? So this has always been my approach. I really try really hard to go more the educational route. I try to mention to people where money is being made, how money is being spent and allocated. I try to make fans more informed and try to make them more understanding of the situation, especially when it comes to CBAs, because I also hear the argument, well, who am I supposed to back in this? The millionaires or the billionaires? The answer is the millionaires, unquestionably. I can't stress that enough. The answer is the millionaires. I know you don't want to say it out loud, but that is the answer to the question that you guys keep putting out there. And I get that you guys are looking at, well, I need to be able to afford to go to these games. A salary cap is not going to make games more affordable. It's not going to make the TV packages more affordable. Those numbers are only going to go up as time goes forward. And make no mistake, Major League Baseball wants a salary cap, and I think the main reason is because they have a new TV deal coming up in less than 3 years. Major League Baseball was talking about doing a new TV deal this year, and instead of doing a massive comprehensive TV deal with one particular company or anything like that, they worked out a similar thing to what the NBA did and kind of diversified through multiple companies, and all of these deals end in 3 years, roughly 2 years after the new CBA would be relatively signed. So yeah, I do think every owner would like very much to cap their leagues and get a multi-billion-dollar television deal that they can all play with. I understand that. That is something that I understand. If you're an owner, you want that to happen. But that's going to cost a lot of money to players, and it's going to devastate the future of finances for Major League Baseball. And here's the other thing that always drives me nuts, dude. Why is every owner a capitalist until it's time to continue being a capitalist? All of a sudden, every billionaire's cash poor today? Knock it off, please.
It's an interesting phenomenon. It is, but it's a part of, trying to run a business, right? It's and running their pro sports team is a business. Mm-hmm. Every business, at least, you would like to think, is making their best effort to be successful, to be profitable. Mm-hmm. And so, pro sports is not always that business in the immediate. And so I think that's sometimes where that struggle comes in, is where like team ownership groups and folks that own teams in their other businesses, there are more structures and ways to cap costs, to mm-hmm. cut costs, to reduce things in order to increase profit margins and revenue margins. But in pro sports, oftentimes in real time, you're not going to necessarily be able to increase your margins or your profits as much as you would in owning a regular business. The value of a pro sports team growing over time, it's like the biggest piece of real estate you'll ever own.
Huge.
That's more so what owning a pro sports team is like. So again, the example of buying a home, and if you own that home long enough and you buy it in the right location and you do some of the right things to maintain it, the value in that home increases exponentially, 2x, 3x, 4x or
Big time.
more. And that it's almost like a stock and security that you have to be willing to purchase and just hold it and ride all the up and downs.
And hopefully invest in.
And hopefully, of course, invest in. And that's what owning a team is like. But I think as you've seen more private equity, and hedge funds and other types of sports ownership groups come in, is getting back more to just about the number.
Yeah.
And so you lose some of that connection to the reality that sports teams are not your typical investment, but they're trying to turn it into that in some ways. And so players just have to keep fighting the battle, but the messaging is a part of fighting that battle.
Yeah.
That you have to be mindful of.
Look at the San Diego Padres. The San Diego Padres are a small market team, or so I'm constantly told. Padres set attendance records. They spent money on their lineup. They spent money on their branding, everything. They generated huge gates, and by 2024, they were producing roughly $500 million in revenue. That was a franchise record. Oh, and by the way, they just sold for $4 billion. Small market, huh?